We like to think we're the only ones who cry, the only ones who use tools, the only ones who remember the faces of our ancestors. We've spent centuries placing ourselves at the top of a self-made pedestal, looking down at the animal kingdom as something separate. But then, you meet an elephant. You watch a 4-ton mother gently use her trunk to blow cool sand over a sleeping calf to protect it from the midday sun. You watch a matriarch stand over the body of a fallen sister for 3 days, refusing to leave, her head bowed in a posture that any human would instantly recognize as a broken heart. Scientists are starting to realize that elephants don't just have instincts. They have personalities. They have culture. They have a sense of self that is so profound it challenges everything we thought we knew about what it means to be a person. Today, we aren't just looking at a big animal with a trunk. We are looking at the true owners of the African continent. This is the deep story of the African elephant, the engineer, the mourner, and the last remaining giant of our world. To understand the scale of what we're dealing with, we have to look at the biology. An African savanna elephant can weigh up to 7 tons. That's about the same as a school bus. But they aren't clumsy. Despite their massive weight, an elephant can walk almost silently. Their feet are essentially giant shock absorbers, padded with a thick layer of fatty tissue that muffles the sound of their footsteps and allows them to sense vibrations in the earth from miles away. Think about that for a second. While we use satellites and cell towers, elephants are literally feeling the news through the soles of their feet. They can detect a thunderstorm happening 50 miles away just by sensing the low-frequency vibrations of the rain hitting the ground. Then there's the trunk. It's the most versatile organ on the planet. Imagine if your nose was 6 feet long and could lift 700 pounds, but also pick up a single peanut and shell it without breaking the nut inside. It contains no bones, just a massive network of over 100,000 muscles. It's their straw, their hand, and their primary sensory tool. An elephant spends most of its day smelling the wind, waving its trunk in the air like a periscope to figure out who is nearby and where the nearest water source is hidden. But the real magic happens inside the skull. An elephant's brain is the largest of any land animal, and it's packed with neurons in a way that mirrors the human brain, particularly in the areas responsible for emotion and memory. This isn't just a metaphor. They have a highly developed hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores long-term memories. This is why a matriarch can lead her herd to a waterhole she hasn't visited in 30 years. She isn't guessing. She's remembering a map that was passed down to her by her mother, who got it from her grandmother. This brings us to the core of elephant life, the matriarchy. In our world, we often celebrate the lone wolf or the alpha male. In the elephant world, that's just not how it works. Power is female. The herd is a tight-knit sisterhood led by the oldest female. She is the keeper of the collective wisdom. She decides when to eat, when to sleep, and when to run. If a predator approaches, she is the one who assesses the threat. She doesn't lead by fear, she leads by experience. When you watch a herd moving across the savannah, you're watching a living history book. The younger females watch the matriarch constantly, learning how to care for infants, how to navigate mud pits, and how to communicate. The bond between a mother and her calf is one of the longest-lasting relationships in nature. A calf will nurse for up to 3 or 4 years, and even after it's grown, a female will stay with her mother for her entire life. The males, however, live a very different life. Once a male elephant hits puberty, around age 12, he starts to become a bit of a handful. He's clumsy, he's energetic, and he starts testing the patience of the females. Eventually, the matriarch will gently but firmly push him out. It's a tough love moment that forces him to find his own way. Young bulls often form bachelor groups, which are essentially wandering schools for young giants. They follow older, retired bulls who act as mentors. These old bulls are vital. They teach the younger ones how to behave, how to find food, and how to stay out of trouble. In areas where the old bulls have been killed by poachers, the younger males often become aggressive and delinquent, showing just how important these social structures are for maintaining peace in the wild. But once a year, a bull enters a state that turns him from a gentle giant into a force of nature. Must. During must, a bull's testosterone levels can be 60 times higher than normal. He becomes a walking mountain of raw power. He leaks a dark, pungent fluid from his temporal glands and spends his days searching for a mate. In this state, even a lion will get out of his way. It is a period of intense physical and emotional stress, a biological drive that ensures only the strongest and most resilient males get to pass on their genes. Now, let's talk about why the African landscape looks the way it does. If you've ever seen a beautiful, open African savanna with scattered trees and lush grass, you're looking at the work of an elephant. Elephants are ecosystem engineers. They are nature's demolition crew and its most dedicated gardeners. When an elephant gets hungry, it doesn't just graze. It pulls down trees to reach the tender leaves at the top. By doing this, they prevent the savanna from turning into a thick, impenetrable forest. This clearing allows light to reach the ground, which lets grass grow for zebras and gazelles. They also dig for water. In the height of the dry season, when the rivers have turned to dust, elephants use their feet and tusks to dig deep into the sand. They find the hidden veins of water underground. Once the elephant drinks and moves on, that hole remains as a life-saving well for every other animal in the area, from lions to honeybees. Without the elephants, the dry season would be a death sentence for thousands of creatures. And then there's the dung factor. An elephant eats about 300 pounds of food a day, and most of that comes back out as nutrient-rich fertilizer. But more importantly, they are the continent's most efficient seed dispersers. Many species of trees in Africa produce fruit with seeds that are too large or too tough for other animals to eat. The elephant eats the fruit, walks 20 miles, and deposits the seed in a pile of perfect fertilizer. Some trees literally cannot grow unless their seeds have passed through the digestive system of an elephant. If the elephants go extinct, the forests of Africa will slowly stop being born. But we have to address the elephant in the room, the tragedy that follows these giants. For centuries, they have been hunted for their ivory. Ivory is just a tooth. It's made of dentin, the same stuff in your own mouth. But for some reason, humans decided it was a status symbol. This greed led to a slaughter that almost wiped them out. At the turn of the 20th century, there were an estimated 10 million elephants in Africa. Today, there are roughly 415,000. The poaching crisis isn't just about numbers. It's about the destruction of culture. When a poacher kills a matriarch for her large tusks, they aren't just killing one elephant. They are burning down a library. Without her, the younger elephants don't know the migration routes. They don't know where the secret water holes are. They become refugees in their own land, often wandering into human farms out of desperation, leading to conflicts that usually end in more death. However, the story doesn't have to end in tragedy. We are seeing a massive shift in how we protect them. In places like Botswana and Namibia, communities are being given a stake in elephant conservation. They've realized that a live elephant brings in more money through tourism and ecosystem health than a dead one ever could. We're building wildlife corridors, stretches of land that allow elephants to move between parks without crossing paths with angry farmers or busy highways. So why does it matter? Why should we care if a giant gray animal continues to walk across a continent most of us will never visit? Because elephants remind us that we aren't the only ones with a soul. They show us that family, memory, and grief aren't human traits. They are living traits. They are a bridge to a version of Earth that was wild and unbroken. When an elephant rumbles, it's a sound so deep you feel it in your chest before you hear it in your ears. It's a vibration that has been echoing across the African plains for 5 million years. They have survived ice ages, droughts, and the rise of the human empire. They are the guardians of the Savannah, the gardeners of the forest, and the last true kings of the wild. The question is, are we wise enough to let them keep walking? Or will we be the generation that turns the land of the giants into a land of ghosts? The choice is ours. Every time we support conservation, every time we refuse to buy ivory, and every time we share their story, we are helping to keep that rumble alive. If this story moved you, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps us continue to tell the stories of the animals that make our planet worth living on. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.